This is the brand new Orama from CrazyTube Circuits. It's a dual drive creation where one side is based on a vintage amp with a very similar color to the pedal. The other side, the fuzz section, builds on that with tones ranging from classic rock textures to heavier stoner-like sounds. Let's hear the pedal in action first. I'm playing live, and at the beginning you will hear the amp side alone before I kick in the fuzz for the chorus and the solo. Let's go. The amp side of the Orama is based on a vintage orange OR120, and those amps were made in London back in the day, so it's safe to say that it's a British sounding amp in the box. And as you probably could hear in that intro song, it is well suited for those stoner and doomy tones. That amp is known for those tones, and especially when you combine it with the fuzz side of the pedal, which is based on the Frantone Peach Fuzz, also a orangey looking product, so we are staying true to the orange color palette with this pedal. Let's look at the controls on the amp side first. Master, that's easy, that's volume, and you have a lot on tap, and you can use it as a boost also if you want to do that. And then there's gain, easy, that's gain. Then you have the HFD knob that adds upper harmonic content drive and presence. FAT or FAT lets you adjust low, mid emphasis and gain character. Hertz, that's low frequency control, and kilohertz, that is high frequency control. And let's do a riff loop and see how these knobs are affecting your guitar tone. And then there's the fuzz side, which is a bit easier to understand. Volume, fuzz, and tone, easy. We also have a raw burn toggle. Raw is tighter, lower gain, and a bit more vintage sounding. Burn has higher gain, more sustain, and more low end. And of course, you can use each channel independently if you want to do so. And the Orama also includes a passive effects loop between the amp and the fuzz section, allowing you to insert other pedals between the two sections of the pedal for expanding tonal possibilities and advanced signal routing flexibility. Yes. Let's hear the pedal some more. So here are my thoughts, my opinions on the pedal. A con and some pros. And the con is sort of like you are in a job interview and they are asking you if you have any flaws, and you can tell them that you only have one flaw, and that is that you work so hard that it's a problem. Not really a flaw, if you understand what I mean. And the con with this pedal is sort of like that, because sometimes I find British sounding amps and pedals to be harder to place in mix. I think that is partly because I'm used to using smaller amps from America. I find them easier to place in the mix. I've always struggled a bit with Marshall, and maybe especially Orange. So for that intro song, I was struggling a bit with placing those guitar tones in the mix. I ended up boosting around 1K, and that helped me quite a lot. I probably could do more tweaking on the pedal to get that right as well. Okay, so a tiny little addendum regarding that. I realized after editing the video and doing some more tests that this is most common when you are doing low tuned guitars, as I did in that intro song. Still, I think it's sort of relevant, so I wanted to keep it in the video, but keep that in mind also, that it's a bit more tricky to place guitars that are tuned down. Especially when they are tuned down to C, as I did. They are harder to place in the mix, no matter what amp or pedal you are using. This is me, by the way. Similar? No. But that leads me into sort of like the pro side, because I think it's a really good sounding pedal. You just need to work with the sound in a mix, in my opinion, a bit. But the pros to that con side is that it works really well together with, for example, a smaller American amp, let's say a Fender. And that's something that I've heard a lot of times up and through the years with big guitar players, big artists working in a studio, and they have paired two amps for one guitar sound, or they've done overdubbing with two different amps. And often I've heard that they've used a Orange as their secondary amp, as their overdub amp, because it works so well together with a Fender, for example. I've also heard this about Voxes. That's like a huge thing, right? To combine a Fender and a Vox AC30 or AC15. So I just want to show you an example of this. But overall, I think this is a great pedal and it's kind of unique. I know that you have some other pedals out there based on the Orange OR120, but not that many. And you definitely don't have anyone combining it with a Fuzz. They are both sounding really good independently, and together they are really good if you want to have like a quick way to get that stoner doomy tone that you heard in the intro track. And one last thing, in the manual there's sort of a warning that if you are adding a lot of bass on the amp side and the Fuzz side, it can sort of collapse in a way. And I actually think it's really cool to find the sweet spot there where the bass is sort of going wild and you get this massive broken Fuzz sound, which to me is that doom thing, but it can become too much if you are boosting it all the way and you are doing a lot of Fuzz into the amp. It can become too much, but try to find that sweet spot and you really have like a pedal highway to that tone, that stoner doomy tone. Yes, check one out if you have the chance. This has been the Orama from Crazy Tube Circuits. Thank you for watching and goodbye.